ain't look like no glitch. Why hit with that smile? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys have been here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man. Commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. You guys are helping us grow the community. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers, man. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Blue.
The blue man. We starting off hard already.
Normal looking photos with disturbing backstories, part 2. This Snapchat was the last photo ever taken of Sydney Loof, a woman who was killed by her Tinder date. Her body was cut into 14 different pieces, and when it was brought back to the morgue, it was in 6 different bags. This man was transferring oxygen tanks for 12 boys and their coach. He didn't have enough oxygen for himself, however, and died after losing consciousness in one of the cave's passageways. This man is Issei Sagawa, an actual cannibal from Japan. This photo was taken by a Japanese magazine after he was released from prison for insanity. The man in this photo, Franklin Floyd, married a woman and had custody over her children while she was in prison for 30 days. The girl in this photo is one of her children, whom Floyd kidnapped to start a new life with. He left the other siblings behind, and after this photo was taken, he went to another state, changed both of their names, and claimed her as his biological daughter. Later, he went on to marry her.
Do you think like a psychopath? Specialists have actually agreed that if you can answer this riddle easily, you might be a psychopath. An explorer and his crew were stranded in the Arctic for several months. When they were finally rescued, the explorer was reunited with his wife, to which he told her all the stories about how their ship crashed and the captain had to feed the remaining crew penguins while they huddled on the ice together in order to survive. A few days later, the explorer's wife became curious and decided to try penguin for herself. Now, despite the explorer's experience, he agreed to eat some with her. However, immediately after, he began to cry and ran out of the room. Shortly later, he unalived himself. But why? Now send this to a friend. Let's see if you're friends with a psychopath.
Kids songs with dark backstories, part 1. Firstly, we've all heard the child song, Ring Around the Rosie, right? Well, there's a popular theory that it was actually based on the bubonic plague. Supposedly, the rosy part of the song refers to the red visible rash people would get with the bubonic plague, and the pocket full of posies refers to people putting flowers in their pocket because they thought it would stop them from getting sick. And where it refers to ashes, ashes, we all fall down, this refers to people who unfortunately passed away. But remember, this is just a theory. Next, I'm sure we've all also heard the kid song, Do Your Ears Hang Low? Well, the first record of this song comes from World War I, and instead of saying ears, they actually said nuts.
Hey, man, we know, like I said, watching these clips together, man, how these songs and shows, they be based off some dark things, so you can't put it past you, man. Our classic kid songs are based on the bubonic plague. You're gonna have to look into that
Fun
one.
facts about the human body, PT.2. If someone is sleeping and you blow on their eyes won't react. But if they're awake, they will flutter a bit. That's how you check if someone is really sleeping. If you drink nothing but purple Powerade for 3 days straight, your poop will turn neon green. Your sense of balance is strongly linked to your eyes, and you may notice it's harder to keep your balance with them closed even if you're standing still. Women are actually programmed to forget the pain of childbirth after a few months or so. If this didn't happen, most women would only end up having one child, which would eventually lower the population.
That makes sense, especially that last fact.
This is the disturbing truth about the Teletubbies. The Teletubbies is a dark nightmare about genetically engineered slave creatures being systematically trained to become part of our society. They are not in control of their own destiny. 3 things control their day-to-day lives. First is the voice, a tiny female voice that tells them when to eat, when to sleep, and when to say goodbye. The robotic voice comes from a speaker in the ground, hinting that something larger lies beneath. Second is Nunu, a harmless vacuum cleaner robot who wanders after the Teletubbies, cleaning up their messes that they made and yelling at them for bad decisions. Nunu is the watchdog of the Teletubbies. Next is the pinwheel. When the pinwheel spins, the Teletubbies stop whatever they are doing and run to the top of the hill to perform a ritual. The Teletubbies just follow rules and listen to other beings. Teletubbies is simply a warning about the darkness of the human spirit as it ages. The Teletubbies is about the end of the world.
So they're just some programs.
This is the scary theory about Bob Ross. Up first, we all know who Bob Ross is. He's a very famous painter who is known for his bright attitude and his very calm demeanor. But people think Bob Ross was a serial killer, and every single one of his paintings is where he buried the bodies. People are saying this because this painting by Bob Ross is called Happy Little Accidents. Nothing special, right? But this is where they found 5 female bodies that were half eaten and dead. The painting in this location are almost identical, and this might raise the question, was Bob Ross a serial killer?
Who do you think Seekers was he? Was
The
that
most disturbing
coincidence?
phone number in the world, part 2. In 2005, in a quiet luxury neighborhood in California, lay a family of 6. The road they lived on is called Devil's Ladder, and things are about to take a demonic turn. The father is laying down one night at 3:30 in the morning while everybody in the house is sleeping. He gets up, picks up his 9mm pistol, and slowly starts creeping down the hallways. One by one, he shoots each of his children in the head while they're sleeping. He then made his way down to his last 2 victims. The last 2 victims of this heinous crime were his own mother and his wife. After everyone else in the house was dead, he made his way downstairs, picked up the cell phone, and made one last phone call.
911, state your emergency. Sheriff's Department, how can I help you?
I was able to find the original phone number using Spy Dialer, and as you can see on your screen now, it says he's deceased and the number's disconnected. However, when you call this number today, this is what plays.
Okay, does anyone else hear footsteps? If so, whose footsteps are these?
Make sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
You really went in depth with that one, man. I mean, I can hear the footsteps in the background. It's kind of weird that the number is still, like, you can call it to this day and hear that. It was just a tragic story, man.
A time traveler from 2671 has warned us. Now yes, a time traveler has posted on TikTok several dates which humanity need to look out for. And none of these events were good, so make sure to save this video so we can look back to see if he was right. The first comes on 8th of December 2022. A large meteor, but not extinction level, will hit Earth, bringing with it an alien species and unknown materials. That sounds like it's straight out of the plot of A Quiet Place. Just 12 days later, on the 30th of December, there will be a 9.8 magnitude earthquake which will open a hole in the Mariana Trench. This large earthquake will apparently release the largest species humanity has ever witnessed. And 2023 is not looking much better, because this is the year we apparently find massive species of already known animals, such as a 3-foot spider and an 18-foot bear. And said this to literally anyone you know, because apparently in 2023 we're getting 3-foot long spiders. If that does come true, Mars anyone? Yo, Elon!
That was all
Here's
cap.
the truth
It never
behind
happened.
Thomas the Train. In a 1984 episode of Thomas the Tank Engine, there was a big green train engine named Henry pulling a passenger train. He runs into a tunnel and stops at the end, not wanting to go any further. Henry's driver argued with him, but he refuses to get out. He claimed the rain would wreck his brand new green paint. So the workers decided to get revenge on him and built a big brick wall in front of him so he could never get out. They then abandoned him and his body is still there today.
What? Hey, justice for that
Why
man,
is
bro.
nobody talking about this photo? See, in Southeast Asia, there was a giant sinkhole that researchers noticed had its own ecosystem. I mean, inside it had its own body of water, its own clouds, rivers, lakes. It had a self-sustaining atmosphere. Don't mind these, I was just fixing my car. Let me get rid of them for you. Pretty good. So a team of explorers got funded to go and search the sinkhole. They were mainly looking for prehistoric plants so they can use for medicine and further research. But what they found was even crazier. They found never before seen animals that were out of this world. I'm talking crustaceans, reptiles, mammals, all throughout the voyage. Everything seemed to be going smooth until it didn't, because this is where it gets scary. The team had stopped reporting to the research lab. They were supposed to be sending back updates every couple of hours of what they found. They were only supposed to be down there for 7 days, but turned up missing for 2 weeks. That's double time of what they were funded for. When the rescue team was sent to go search and find them, they found clothes and tents that were ripped to shreds. Traces of blood were also found on the ground. When checking the camera equipment, they found all the new species that the explorers had taken pictures of. But the last image on one of the cameras was this photo. But before I continue, you and your third app see this creature in the woods. Your third app says, "Don't worry, I'll protect us." Let me know who it is, and let me know if you believe you're safe or doomed with them on your side. But from the picture, scientists concluded that it is bigger, stronger, and possibly faster than us. And their worry is that there might be more of these, and the sinkhole allowed them to escape and be released into the outside world.
We gonna have to check up on that sinkhole, man. They need to close that
An
thing
80
down.
million-year-old prehistoric shark was just discovered in Japan. Check out the video.
$80 million years old, and we just now seeing it. That's scary, bro. We didn't discover all of
Friendly reminder,
our
you would
ocean.
not survive a day in the wild. If you ever imagined how you'd survive a lion attack and thought you could hide in a tree, nope, they got that too. We got lion climbing trees, and the crazy thing is, they didn't always do this. Lions normally don't even rock with trees like that. It's not like they can't. They're the cats. It comes with a contract. But it's the getting down part that they struggle with. They're not leopards, and bigger lions that fall can end up dislocating something. And these are lions. Going on injury reserve ain't an option. But the funny thing about lions, if they're not good at something, watch them find a way to be great. There's actually a population of tree climbing lions in Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda. Apparently, one lion figured they could chill in the trees to get away from insects and the heat, and now they got the whole pride doing it. They even teach the cubs to be part-time arboreal as soon as they're old enough. Well, actually not too old, because the mothers do use climbing to get away from them. Real. Somewhere a leopard's swearing appropriation. And like I said, this isn't normal. Seeing lions in a tree is like seeing lions on the beach. You never see it happen. Scientists think the lions figured out that they can use the trees and climbing to keep tabs on their prey without actually giving themselves away. Also, they look so cozy up there. I really think they just caught a vibe and climbed with it. But yeah, even a bigger male can get up there if it means they can steal a leopard's leftovers. Moral of this video, lions, find a way.
Here are
That's
3
very
weird
dangerous.
facts about your body that you didn't know. Number 1, on the palm of your hand, there's over 1,000 different types of bacteria living on it right now. Yikes. Number 2, all of us humans are 99% genetically the same. So technically we're all related? That one's kind of weird. Number 3, whenever you smile, it's actually scientifically impossible to not touch the tongue to the roof of your mouth. Oh, I'm just kidding, but you have a great smile. Let's go, I got you, I made you smile. Share this video with some friends and make them smile too.
I knew that last one was kind of cap. I'm like, what? Your tongue doesn't touch the touch of the root of your mouth. I knew that one was cap. The thing that got to me is just how everybody's like 99.9% the same. So he said, if you think about it in the way we all related, man. Why can't we just have world peace
Something
then?
that we have not talked about yet is mermaids. Are they real? Is there any proof of them? Let me tell you. While digging deep on the internet, I found this following video that I'm about to show you. Now it's very busy and loud, so you need to focus to see what I'm trying to show you. As you can see, we could very, very clearly see a hand of a person that's attached at the knuckles, violently fighting to get out of the net that they were caught in. You don't just catch humans in the water. Now look at this hand. This is what scientists think the hands of mermaids look like. And now I'm going to show you the hand from the video, and you can see that they're the same. Not to mention, there are a lot of pictures of dried up mermaid skeleton that are unexplained. Now what we technically think mermaids are beautiful women and men who swim around all day and sound magical and just safe, happy creatures. But that's not what people think it is. They're thought to look weird, alien-like. And when they make sounds, they screech. They don't sing. They're scaly all over, not just their tail. And they're just overall harsh, evil creatures. I personally believe they exist because 70% of the sea is undiscovered. So how do we think we know they don't? Tell me what you think.
It's a possibility, very strongly.
Adventurous travels has died in a freak snowstorm in the Swedish wilderness. Storm de Boel was found dead after getting caught in a devastating blizzard. The night before, he sent his grandmother a tragic final message. It's snowing heavily here, but don't worry, I'll survive, you know. His mother believed his tent must have blown away or been destroyed in the storm, leaving him without any shelter in the freezing temperatures. He was able to contact emergency services, but by the time they were able to search for him, it was tragically too late. He was just 22.
Do you know the
Careful out there
craziest
camping.
conspiracy theory about one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, Keanu Reeves, that he's immortal and has lived multiple lives? This conspiracy started when theorists noticed that one of the most prolific Holy Roman emperors of all time, Charlemagne, looks a lot like Keanu Reeves, from the eyes to the nose to the cheekbones. Even though Charlemagne was born in the year 748, the theory goes that he was powerful, rich, and of high enough status that he was asked to join the New World Order of the Illuminati, and given the opportunity to be immortal, so when he would die, he would reincarnate. So here he pops up again in the 1500s in this very famous painting, Portrait of a Man, with a man who has the exact same face as Keanu Reeves. Then in the 1800s, another very famous man, a poet by the name of James Russell Lowell, pops up looking exactly like Keanu Reeves. Then right on schedule in the 1900s, a very famous actor of the time, Paul Mounet, happens to look just like Keanu Reeves. Here's another photo. As we go, the photos get higher quality, and as Keanu is immortal and lives all these lives, he acquires more knowledge and wisdom about how to achieve success over and over again to become all these prolific men. And Keanu doesn't deny it, so before I tell you what he has to say about this, make sure you follow so you finally know the craziest conspiracy theories about each of these celebrities and request who you want to see next.
You've just been around, there's just different generations.
We're all stardust, baby. I can see it, we have a likeness in the eyes, and the nose, and the mustache, and the beard, and the cheekbones, and the forehead. Look at that then.
That's the real...
Oh.
He didn't deny it.
This is a true horrifying story, part 29. This
That's
is an
interesting.
old famous story known as The Boy and the Jinn. This story took place in Nottingham, England in the early 90s. There is a massive abandoned building that has 120 rooms, many dorms, and very big halls. The building was bought to start an Islamic madrasa, meaning school for boys. They renovated the place and scheduled classes. When the school started, all the students were warned and restricted from accessing the west side of the building. No reasons given, just no one is allowed to go to the west side of the school. One of the students, let's give him a name. His name is Imran. Imran was 13 years old at the time, and he's from Bangladesh. He does not speak a word of English nor Arabic. The only language Imran spoke was Bengali. Imran was a quiet kid. He didn't have any friends. He always walked alone, sleeps alone, and eats alone. One day, Imran strays off to the west side of the building on his own, the side that he was restricted from accessing. He comes back after a while with a Quran in his hand. He goes to the Quran teacher and tells him, "Test me in Arabic." Remember, he does not speak a word in any other language but Bengali. The teacher laughs it off and starts to test him out. Verse after verse, he realizes that this student memorized the whole Quran efficiently, and everyone was extremely shocked about this. On that same night, all the students head to their dorms and go to sleep. During the middle of the night, they bang the principal's room, screaming, "There's a Jinn, there's a Jinn." The principal found out that while the students were asleep, the walls in their dorm would bang and scratch, and there will be voices coming out the wall saying the name Imran. Then it all added up. They figured out that Imran was possessed by a Jinn that was a hafiz of the Quran. So an Islamic exorcism wouldn't really do much. The sheikh would put his hand on Imran and recite the ayat, but the Jinn would come back with the following verse to break the exorcism. The ruqya cannot work on a Jinn that memorized the Quran. And the Jinn himself is challenging the raqi on who knows the Quran better. One of the imams that witnessed this whole situation asked to send Imran back home for 1 month, and that should treat his situation. They send him home. He comes back after 1 month, not knowing any Arabic, not knowing any English, doesn't know anything about the Quran, the same old quiet kid. And no one ever dared going near the west side of the building after what happened to Ahmad.
So he was possessed by a jinn, sent home for a month, and it went away. You know him, man. He be telling the jinn stories. And there's validity to it. That's from, he does all that research for it.
It's because of the most athletically disrespectful creatures on Earth. There's no situation where a cat needs to be doing any of that. You see, leopards had a problem. I'm sorry, Zevi, it's too catchy. They live in Africa, but they don't weaponize the power of friendship like lions or hyenas, or a clan of Cujos, or even baboon mafia. Being a solo dolo hunter, well, you see how that goes for cheetahs. They literally have anxiety, but leopards have something cheetahs don't. The two things, actually. They're the best climbers of any cat, and pound for pound, they're the strongest, and these are cats we're talking about. They're plenty OP already. Basically, you got Teen Titans Robin in the form of a weaponized panther. Huh, that is a rhino. Yeah, that is a giraffe. And being able to climb means they can dodge the same smoke that gets cheetahs cooked. So not only do leopards have the longest grocery list of a big cat with like 90-something animals, they have the widest range of any too. But they're also crafty enough to live right next to people. They will pull up to your front door in some places. And because leopards can and will murk anything, in some places they realize that pet dogs are easy calories. I can't show you this video, but by the grace of God and plot armor, the dog made it. Also, hot take, the most dangerous predator is a predator with predators. And since leopards get got by lions and tigers too, they're much more likely to be on site with people if they feel threatened. So yeah, leopards are a flex and my second favorite big cat. What's the first? The more you know.
Donald Trump is now saying that the only way out for TikTok is a 50-50 split with America. But we, as the people of TikTok, deserve a say on who is our next leader. So let me show you your options. First up, we got Elon. I mean, for starters, there's no arguing the man's intelligence. I mean, bro might already have a Neuralink, for all we know. In terms of experience, he has multiple highly successful businesses in all types of industries, including social media. But X, still a bit of work in progress. In terms of aura, I mean, if we're gonna rank this off of like someone like Obama's walk, then for Elon, it's a 0 for low taper fade, which could be the most important metric to own TikTok. He does have a political bias, which could influence company policy. And as for wealth, bro's almost half a trillionaire. That's crazy. Okay, fine. Plus 10 aura points for that. Next we ask, should we sell to Zuck? I mean, love him or hate him, he's a smart guy, and still to this day, unlike other companies the size of Meta, he retains 100% decision-making control for the company. He has over 3 billion people using his apps, so TikTok would likely be in safe hands, but that doesn't make up for the lack of aura. In fact, he's notoriously aura-free. -1. His low taper fade is down horrendous. His bias is whoever's in office at the time, and he's the 4th richest person in the entire world. So bro could easily make an offer that ByteDance would be happy with. Next, we have the first person to actually put in an offer to try and buy and save TikTok, Kevin O'Leary. He's founded and sold multiple companies, and he's a highly successful, old-school businessman, which might be what we need. His experience with social media, definitely lacking, but considering the type of businessman he is, he'll probably just put the right people in place to run it. Measuring aura it's not a scientific endeavor. It's more, when you see it, you know it. And for Kevin here, I don't feel moved. I think he actually gets a good 10 points for his reverse low taper fade. In terms of bias, he's middle right, so that does seem to be more on economic matters rather than social issues. And as for wealth, actually surprisingly lower than you would expect. And then we've got to talk about Mr. Beast. I mean, starting with, you know, if there's anyone that we're going to call a social media genius, it will be him. As for experience, you know, he is only 26 and he's never been in charge of an actual social media platform. But then on the other hand, he's got almost 500 million followers. If there's anyone that will know what users and creators want on TikTok, it'll be him. His aura, I mean, again, vibe-based thing, doesn't have the Obama walk. And while we still don't see a low taper fade, it's the best of our options, so 1 point. He doesn't seem to have any political bias. And while bro is definitely not like app buying rich like Zuck or Elon, he did say that he's gonna get help from other billionaires. That also makes us less confident that he can put in an offer that's gonna sweep ByteDance off their little feet. So there are your options. So who do you choose to be TikTok's next supreme leader?
If someone is trying to make you decide in a hurry, they are probably giving you a bad deal. Walk away. If someone has a panic attack, start breathing regularly and loudly. The person that is panicking will subconsciously start breathing in rhythm with you. When a group of people laugh, they tend to look at the person they like the most. Nervousness and excitement have the same body reaction, so if you're nervous for a speech, trick yourself into thinking you're actually excited. If you think someone is watching you,
fake a yawn, then watch them. Get someone to contribute to an idea and they will more likely accept it. If you whisper to someone, it's more likely they will whisper back even if there's no good reason to lower your voice. If you want to make someone feel uncomfortable, look at their forehead while you're talking to them. If you want somebody to open up to you, ask them a question. If the person only partially answers it, remain silent and keep eye contact. This will pressure the person into talking more. If you want to be more persuasive, reduce the use of the words I think and I believe. Touching someone on their shoulder or on their knee creates a stronger emotional bond with that person. Chew gum if you are still nervous. Our brains assume that if we are eating, then we are not in any immediate danger, lowering our fight or flight response. When you approach a group of people, notice if they turn their feet towards you or away from you. If their feet point away from you, you are probably not welcome. Subtly nodding when people are talking to you indicates that you are genuinely interested in what they are having to say and they're going to like you more. If you take a moment to look at someone's eye color when meeting them, you'll be giving them the perfect amount of eye contact. If there is a mirror behind where you are ordering, you are less likely to be rude because nobody wants to see themselves actually be rude. If you buy the first pitcher at the bar with your friends, you'd be surprised how far you could go by saying, I bought the first one. If someone is making jokes at your expense, act like you can't hear them and ask them to repeat it multiple times. By the time they say it a third or fourth time, nobody's laughing. When someone remembers you, they are most likely going to remember the first memory and the last memory of you. So make sure you always leave a good last impression too. After you have learned how to do something new and have done it yourself, the fastest way to retain that information is to teach somebody else. If you have a song stuck in your head and you can't get it out, try and listen to the whole song all the way through while singing it. Your brain is treating the song like an unfinished task in your subconscious. Plan something for every Wednesday that you can look forward to. You'll start to look forward to it on Monday, and by the time Wednesday comes around, you're already halfway through the week and almost to the weekend. If you ask someone to do a small favor for you, their subconscious mind is going to register that they like you because they're doing a favor for you. Showing the palms of your hands while talking to someone subconsciously communicates that you have nothing to hide and that you can be trusted. Whenever you're introducing a new idea to someone and you lead with the words, this might not be for you, but it intrigues their interest and makes it feel like it probably is for them. If you need to remember to do something tomorrow, put something in your room out of place. If you don't want to get out of bed, throw your pillow across the room. The next day, you will see this item out of place and it will jog your memory of what you need to accomplish. If you're procrastinating, just stop telling yourself how much work you have to do. This will overwhelm you. Instead, tell yourself you only have to work for 5-10 minutes, and then you're likely going to continue working past those minutes. People who are lying will normally blink more than normal, hide the palms of their hands, glance up to the right, mess with their hair, or use abnormally long sentences. If you're trying to get over a breakup, do not use fictional scenarios. Imagining your person with someone new is only going to make you more angry and sad about something that's not even real. If you want to create a deeper connection with someone you're interested in, ask them these two questions. What do you think we have in common? And what do you like most about me? If you are suffering from racing thoughts, use the 3-3-3 rule. Name 3 things you see, 3 things you hear, and 3 parts of your body. This will help center your mind and bring you back to the present. When someone apologizes for something that you don't feel like was that big of a deal to apologize for, they're probably telling you subconsciously what actually bothers them if it was done to them. If they apologize for interrupting you, they probably really just don't like being interrupted themselves. Follow for more psychology hacks.
The Titanic's decks once filled with life, but now they are home to shadows. They are the spirits of those who walked there, trapped forever in a voyage that never ends.
Man.
How long do you do it? You can do it for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. What's that? I'll say you take it. Oh, is that the secret rig? Oh, yeah, turn it off. I do? Yeah. Okay. Leave it behind. Oh, really? That secret? Yeah. Okay. Oh, God, I see why. Hold on. No, I guess. Leave it behind. Well, he can shoot this one. Right, but that's it. No. No, no. No, she didn't. No. Come in. Oh my God, it's mental. Come in.
He wanted you. Would you go in that bedroom secrets? You're just blocking the camera, man. Not trying to let us see the angles. What's behind that door, man? And there's a billionaire at that. When people get that amount of money, they like go into some weird things. That ain't look like no glitch.
Are we just gonna ignore Delahoya's girl wife? What is that?
Why you hit it with that smile? I see those eyes, right?
What I found hidden under the floorboards of a 250-year-old house.
It's one from the old rules. It's definitely a book, but they're not like actual pages. They're like really thick. Just so weird.
Let's see what was inside. The book seemed normal at the start, filled with old portraits. But things took a creepy turn the further I went into the book. I noticed what seemed like a very old photo of my house. This is when the pictures took an unsettling turn. The rest of the album is filled with pictures of empty rooms that have an unsettling feeling. A dark shadow appears in all of these photos.
Like it's a warning or something of something to
I
happen.
can't help but think what else could be buried under those floorboards. I will search for more hidden items.
I'm out the house. Deuces.
So, this is a trade report, and I want you to.
You believe that one? He said, "Hell." Fighting with a damn fan. What the? It's like bobbing and weaving. What the?
Pennywise, are you down there? Are you... The fuck is that?
She hit the right move.
Who are you? You guys can see this, right?
It's like a figure.
Who's here?
Guys, WTF.
You see that, right? Demon hand in the crowd. Is it talking about the hand that's waving back and forth? That's the hand I see.
This is the dark story behind Hello Kitty, and it's purely horrifying. In 1950, a woman named Akiko lived in a small village with her 6-year-old daughter, Hannah. Hannah was very sick with a strange illness that no doctor could cure. Akiko was desperate to save her child and refused to give up. One stormy night, someone knocked on the door. When Akiko opened it, an old woman was standing there. She looked frightening. Her eyes were wide, and her face was wrinkled like a witch. The woman said, "I know, your daughter is dying. I can save her." Afraid but desperate, Akiko let her in. The old woman set down a small bag and pulled out something strange. A pale doll that looked like a mix of a man and a cat. The doll had a human body, but the face of a cat, and its skin looked like an old man's. The woman began talking to the doll as if it were alive. Suddenly, whispers filled the room, and Hannah started breathing easier. She was getting better. Akiko was overjoyed. But then the old woman said, "I've saved her, but there's a price. Your soul is mine, and your daughter will always belong to him." That night, both the old woman and Akiko disappeared. Years later, Hannah grew up and created Hello Kitty, a pale, mouthless cat, just like the doll that saved her life.
So she was inspired by that story? Is that a snake? Skinwalker. We've seen some clips of those. That's what I think we just saw. Yard sale. That dog looks too lifelike. Oh no. That's slow ass man. You just backing away. I would have hit the jets. He's not even closing the door. Gotcha. Them.
Okay, it's all sorry. I don't. There's something.
What? It's moving. What are you talking? What's moving? Something is moving towards the fence or something.
Thermal.
What does it look like? It's tall. It's animal. It's hard to describe within this, but it's tall. Is it the fence? What? I just closed. It's moving. It's here. It's here. Michelle, it's here. It's here. It's here. It's coming. What? It's coming. What is it?
It's right in front of y'all.
It has me. What? It has me. It has me. No. It has me. Nick, just snap out of it, bro. Just snap it. Just snap out of it. It's telling me that. It's you're next. What's you next? Who? Nick, who next? What? No. Nick, snap out of it. No. Nick, snap out of it. What's going on? No. Dude.
It's too late for Nick. He's cooked, buddy.
Are you there, honey? Open the door for mommy. Wow. Wow.
She prepared. just opened the door. I don't know what the hell. She tried to make her scream. Trying to exercise it out.
Did the ghost of this woman try and help solve her own disappearance? I'm Trick and Caitlin, and this is the disappearance of Sandra Hughes. When COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic in 2020, the entire world shut down. People were locked down into their homes, businesses had to close, and many people have vastly different experiences of this time. For Sandra Hughes, she saw this as an opportunity. 54-year-old Sandra had spent most of her adult life moving across America, living in different cities, in different states. She never really put roots down anywhere. Growing up, her dream job was to be a park ranger. She absolutely loved the great outdoors. She was very in touch with nature, but sadly, life didn't take her down that path. She ended up finishing college and then going to work as an accountant. When the 2020 lockdowns hit, Sandra decided that she wasn't going to be quarantining inside of her house. Instead, she was going to take this as an opportunity to go on a very long camping trip out in the wilderness. She was fully trained in wilderness survival, so this is something that she believed that she would be able to do with ease. On the 26th of June, she drove from her new home in California all the way to the Sierra National Forest. She parked up her silver sedan, took out her camping gear, chucked it over her shoulder, and excitedly headed out into the woods. 6 days later, a couple of hikers who were making their way through the Johnson Meadows, a picturesque but dangerous area. Wild animals such as bear and cougars could be found there. While walking through this area, the hikers would notice a campsite. As they began to get closer to the campsite, they would notice that the campsite was in absolute disarray. The tent was completely ruined. There was an empty backpack on the floor, and it looked like the contents of the backpack had just been dumped out of the bag. There was tins of food there was papers, there was documents, there was all sorts. It looked like somebody had just ransacked this campsite, or maybe it had been attacked by a wild animal. The owner of this campsite was nowhere to be found. The hikers would report what they found to the sheriffs, who quickly arrived to investigate. They would rummage around the contents, what had been poured out of that backpack, and found an ID. The name on the ID being Sandra Hughes. They tried to contact Sandra, but when they couldn't get in touch with her, they then tried to contact her family, who immediately, upon hearing what the sheriffs had to say and what had been found, they knew that something was wrong. Sandra was not the type of person who would even litter, so there was absolutely no way that she would leave behind an entire campsite the way that she did. She was very green, she was very in touch with nature, and she was very eco-friendly. She would never leave all of that dumped out in the wilderness. After hearing this, the family filed a missing persons report. Hundreds of people, including officers, rangers and volunteers, all pitched in trying to help find Sandra. A huge search was conducted. Police were speaking with other hikers who had been in the area and asked them if any of them had seen Sandra. She was quite distinctive and someone that police thought people would remember, because at this moment in time she had bright blue hair. But no one had. It would be 2 days into the investigation that the police got their first proper lead. Sandra had been spotted. Some hikers who were going through the Johnson Meadows spotted who they didn't know at the time was Sandra. She was wearing a black t-shirt, blue jeans, and she had her very distinctive blue hair, but she had no shoes on and she had no hiking or camping gear with her. She also had a very noticeable bruise on her face. The
Despite all of this, her having no shoes on, no gear, and a bruise on her face, these campers just left her be. She didn't seem distressed, she didn't call out with them for help or anything like that, so after observing her and seeing her, these couple of campers just went off on their way. It wouldn't be till they were back at the car park that they saw the missing person posters and realised that the woman on this poster was the woman they had just seen in the Johnson Meadow. Police went to the area that the hikers described seeing Sandra, but by the time they arrived, she was nowhere to be seen. The next day, Sandra's silver sedan would be found in the bottom of a ravine. Whoever had been driving the car, likely Sandra, had actually crashed into a tree, and after the crash, the car kind of tumbled down into the ravine.
Oh.
Inside the car, there was no blood or anything that would suggest anyone got injured inside of the car. However, weirdly, kind of surrounding the car was all of Sandra's belongings, so everything that she would have had inside of the car looked like it had just been pulled out and chucked. It looked like how the stuff did back at the campsite, the stuff that had been dumped out of the backpack. As the days and the weeks progressed with no sign of Sandra and no sign of the case moving forward, the investigation had to be scaled back down. It wouldn't be till around about 4 weeks later that the police would get their next problem lead. Two hunters were driving up a windy, desolate road nearby where Sandra's sedan was found, and they're just driving along when they look up and they notice a woman standing at the tree line. She stands out because she stood at the tree line, but she looks a little bit out of place. She's wearing a flowery t-shirt and some overalls, and she's just staring out into the abyss. Noticing that she had no equipment or anything with her, the hunters pulled over to make sure she was okay, to ask if she needed any help. And as they're calling to her, shouting to her, asking if she is okay and if she needs any help, Sandra continues to just blankly stare into nothing. It was like they weren't even there. Eventually they just left her to it, let her carry on with whatever she was doing, and again, it wouldn't be till they got to the car park that they saw a missing persons and realised that that woman that they saw was Sandra. They were certain of it due to her distinctive blue hair. What was strange though was that they described Sandra wearing something completely different to what the police believed she was wearing. They thought she was wearing a black t-shirt and blue jeans, but these hunters described her as wearing a flowery top and overalls. So had she gone back to the campsite to get changed? Had she found these clothes somewhere? We don't know. Police were dispatched to the area that the hunters told them that they saw Sandra, but by the time they arrived, she was long gone and left no trail behind. Over a year later, after Sandra's disappearance, a family consisting of parents Jake and Victoria were heading for a day out and were driving through the Sierra National Forest. Having already drove for a little while at this point, they decided to pull over and set up a little picnic in a lovely little meadowy area. As Jake and Victoria are grabbing what they need for the picnic, they noticed that one of their sons, 3-year-old Caden, strapped in the back seat, was talking away to someone, but it wasn't any of his siblings. Victoria turned around and asked Caden, "Who are you talking to?" When Caden, who was fixated, staring out towards the forest, replied something along the lines of, quote, "There's a woman out there and she needs our help. She's lying face down, her legs are straight up, and she's dead."
Could sense it.
Jake would follow Caden's direction into the forest where Caden was adamant that he could see this woman, but when Jake got there, there was no one there, despite how insistent Caden was that this woman that he was seeing was right there. The family wasted no time in turning on their heels and driving back out of the Sierra National Forest. That evening, Victoria logged onto Facebook and wrote a status detailing about the weird interaction that she had had with Caden on that day, writing in the post exactly what Caden said he saw and who he saw, and this got the attention of the police. They contacted Victoria and asked Victoria if they could speak to Caden, and he would relay on the police exactly what he relayed on to his parents, that he had seen a woman, she was dead and she needed help. But what caught the police attention was the description that Caden gave of the woman. She was a woman wearing a black t-shirt, blue jeans, and she had blue hair. They were presented with several photographs of several different women, almost like a lineup, and asked Caden could he point to the woman who he saw was the woman he saw in one of these photos, and she was. He pointed to 3 different pictures that had the woman that he saw, and all 3 pictures were of Sandra Hughes. Had her ghost reached out to him, desperate for help? As of today, Sandra's disappearance is still unsolved.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy to think about. How that kid just had like the secondhand nature. I don't know. And he picked out of the lineup all those women, 3 same pictures of Keaton. He definitely, I don't know, like I said, her spirit was talking to him. I'm not, man. Weirder things have happened.
Huh? Where? There's somebody over there. They ain't supposed to be in our woods. Who is that? Do you see him?
Could be a person. Or is that Bigfoot? There's been many sightings.
Alright, hey, let's go up here and we'll turn around, alright?
My radars are going off on this one. I don't know if I can believe that.
If you are inside your home with the lights out, do not look outside your window. Turn on your lights before you look through any window. Do not leave your home if you see a figure outside. Even if he is turned away, do not look at him. Lock all doors and windows before turning off all lights inside your residence. Hide in a small space and call authorities. Do not move from hiding unless you hear an unfamiliar voice. If you do hear a familiar voice coming from inside your home, do not move. He is inside. He is inside. He is inside.
How does that? Band amusement park? Somebody at the end of the slide? Oh, we out.
I learned my fucking lesson. So, hey, this is Jorge from Magical Poltergeist. I know there has been a lot of people that has been telling me, oh, Jorge, you should probably back away from the Ouija board, right? But, as you guys can all know, I need answers. I need some information about what all this is going on. So that's the reason why I use the Ouija board. So today, I just want to mess with the Ouija board and hopefully, you know, we get some answers. I know there's not going to be a lot of people that's going to be real upset about this, but yeah, let's do this. Right, guys? Hopefully, and keep in mind, I'm also by myself. I'm a little nervous about this, but hey, let's do this, all right?
Solo dolo?
Open a circle 2 times. So, 1, 2, 3. Oh, and keep in mind, it is 12:40 at night, at midnight. So, all right. Is there anybody in this room with me that would like to communicate or would like to have some kind of conversation? That would like to communicate or would like to have some kind of conversation with me? Just please give me your information through this Ouija board, if you can. If that is, that would be very nice of you. If you can, just please start off by first name. If you are here, please let me know you are here by, oh, it just moved a little bit. Okay. If you are here, please let me know you are here. Bro.
Flew off the board.
Bro, you won't even believe this. Hold on. This is not even fake. Hold on. This motherfucker just flew. The glass just came off too. And it's not like it's fucking attached to strings or none of that. But hold on, look at the lid right here. Yo,
that's a sign. Stop.
Gotta be. You cannot be playing with me.
Never play with Ouija boards. Never will.
You gotta be kidding me. And there's no strings on this or nothing. There's literally no strings or nothing. That is crazy. That is why you stay away from Ouija boards. I'm telling you right now, stay away from these fuckers.
Yep.
I learned my fucking lesson. Oh hell fucking nah, I gotta go. You guys don't fucking hear that? Oh fuck!
Don't mess with Ouija board secrets.
Vai lá em cima, vai em cima, viado. Vai em cima, vai em cima, vai em cima, vai em cima. Credo!
What the am I looking at here? What the am I looking at?
Look like a dog in the last one. Just gotta do like this. Okay, man.
Turn the lights on.
Can you tell us if this place is evil?
Behind you.
Hey, Sabrina, I'm recording this because I never seen. That's one shadow, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 people watching me.
I should be out and about.
Keys, bro.
Hear that?
I understand. I'm gonna need you to step out so we can check the residence.
It's opening that door. She
should not exist. In Brisbane, Australia, there's something called the Cage of Death in Crocosaurus Cove. You'll be trapped in a plastic cage that is then lowered by a small crane into crocodile-infested waters. Most people assume this is probably safe, but in 2015, this was caught on camera. When these two friends were lowered into the water, the cables that were holding them up actually broke off, which startled the crocodile, which then tried to attack them. After this footage went viral, the park was forced to shut down and has not been open ever since.
Imagine allowing your daughter to sleep over at her friend's house and then finding out that her friend's dad drugged her before going to bed. So this is 57-year-old Michael Maiden and his 12-year-old daughter hosted a sleepover at her house, inviting 3 of her friends. He was an adult that was supposed to be supervising them on that night, but instead he drugged them with a mango smoothie. On that night, before they went to bed, he gave each girl a mango smoothie, and one remembers there being white chunks inside her drink. One of the girls only drank a little bit because it tasted bad and looked weird, but all 3 other girls drank the entire thing. Later that night, all the girls blacked out except for the one girl who didn't drink much of the smoothie. She actually pretended to sleep. She witnessed Michael get close and touch one of the other girls that were sleeping, and that's when she got scared and called her parents and begged them to come pick her up. This 12-year-old told her parents what happened, and they went ahead and contacted all these kids' parents to tell them, like, hey, go pick up your daughters now. When the parents arrived to Michael's house, he made it difficult for them to get their own kids out of that house, but eventually they did, and they were taken to the hospital. It turns out that Michael put sedatives in in their smoothies, but he argues that that never happened. One of the girls could barely walk straight or stand on her own when she was leaving the hospital, and they don't really remember what happened before they blacked out.
Very sad.
You can't even go to a damn sleepover no more. Because freaking people want to do weird things, bro. I'm like, how you gonna try to tell somebody that they can't pick up their kid? That's me, bro. I'm busting through that door like, how they gonna say I can't get my own kid? You must have lost your mind, man. This world.
News, Quinn Blackwell's brother passed away today, and she posted on her story talking about it, and you can kind of tell that she's still in shock because she's like, I don't know if I should be saying this or keeping it off the internet. And here is the news article. He was 30 years old. That's just so sad. Like, it makes you think about life. Like, recently, there have been 3 people in the influencer industry that I know of, or relatives of people who are passing away. Like, Bethany Frankel, her mom recently passed away. Then you got that NYC influencer who did the Amazon short series who passed away. And then Kyle Marissa. So it's been 4 people in the past like couple of weeks, and it just reminds you that you are not promised the day. And I just feel really bad for her, you know, like sending strength and support. She definitely sounded like she was in shock in this message. Like, I would still be in shock. This happened at 1:30.
These are human body parts that may disappear in the...
And to even go through something like that, man, and you're being an influence at that, so people, like, you know, they feel connected to your life, man, and just having to announce that news, and then you have to hear people's feedback, what they think about this situation, but you actually going through it, man. Like she said, she was in a state of shock, bro. I know her from, you know, she did that video with Duke Dennis, and it just freaking blew up. It was huge, so that's where I know her from. Man, but what she said, it was the truth, bro. You're not promised a day.
Future. First up is body hair. Originally, it protected ancient humans from harsh weather conditions. However, over time, with modern clothes and changes in environmental conditions, human body hair has significantly decreased and continues to do so. Many scientists believe it might eventually completely disappear. Next are wisdom teeth. They used to serve an evolutionary purpose for ancient humans who had much rougher diets and needed more chewing power. But our diets have softened and our jaws have become increasingly smaller. As a result, they have no space to properly grow in, and many people need to have them surgically removed. Many babies are now being born without wisdom teeth, and scientists believe this will eventually be the standard. Finally, we have male nipples. Everyone starts as female in the womb, and before the Y chromosome kicks in for males, nipples have already formed. When the baby becomes male, the prolactin levels decrease, making the male nipples non-functional. So while it's debated, some scientists think they'll disappear.
You got double nipples, bro? Male and there's gonna be nippless? I've heard even cases watching the clips, bro, that they still sometimes, for other males, they still work and they be squirting out milk. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I heard.
2 days, Jessica Chapman and Holly Wells were missing produced one of the most intense and extensive searches in British criminal history. On August 4th, 2002, the 2 10-year-old girls left a barbecue in Soham, Cambridgeshire, and they were wearing matching Manchester United shirts, but they never returned. When it was realized that the girls were missing, a massive search party was formed, and among those searching for them was Ian Huntley, who said he might have been the last person to talk to them. But he didn't just talk to them, he invited them into his house, saying that his girlfriend, who the girls knew, would be inside. He killed the girls almost immediately, although their bodies wouldn't be found for nearly 2 weeks, and during that time, he gave multiple interviews to media about the cases. But on August 17th, he was arrested, and he was given 2 life sentences.
How can you do that and be part of the search like you knew what you did?
2025 is going to be crazy, part 3. So, I just want to start off by saying 2025 is going to be a special year, because 2025 is a perfect square year. Yeah, I know it might sound a bit nerdy, but the last time this happened was in 1936, and we won't get another perfect square year again till 2116. Next, for TV shows coming out in 2025, we have Squid Game Season 3, which is wild because Squid Game Season 2 just came out, and we also have Stranger Things Season 5. Both of these will be the final season of each show. For movies coming out in 2025, we have a live-action Lilo and Stitch. I can't forget we have a new Smurfs movie coming out, and we also have a new Karate Kid movie coming out. 2025 will be one to remember.
Interesting people you've
What
never
y'all
heard
excited
of.
for?
This 63-year-old man was arrested after getting his hand bitten off by an alligator because he was illegally feeding it. Anthony Lafredo has had a fascination with looking like an alien since he was a young child. He's had too many surgeries to count to remove parts of his body like his ears and his upper lip and his nose. He even removed 2 of his fingers to look more alien-like. Zion Clark is a professional wrestler that was born without legs. He grew up in foster care and said he was bullied just because he didn't have legs. Australia literally lost their prime minister in 1967 when he went swimming and never returned. Chaser was a border collie who had the highest tested memory of any non-human animal on Earth and was able to identify more than 1,000 toys based on name and categories. This man has spent 35 years restoring over 1,000 acres of forest because when he was 16 years old, he was concerned for the local habitat of the animals nearby and started planting trees. Sam Burns was born with a fatal disease called progeria that causes your body to age rapidly. And even though he passed away at the age of 17, his parents helped him start a foundation and he gave inspirational talks to spread awareness and was remembered as a very happy person.
These are the most unusual prisons in the world. Part 1. In Bolivia's San Pedro prison, each prisoner has to pay for their own cell, and each one is between $1,000 and $1,500. And to get the money, they have to work for it. So that's why the prison is full of restaurants and small markets. In Norway, they have this eco-friendly prison. Everything is recycled, solar panels are used, and most of the food is homegrown and produced. It actually looks more like a summer camp than a prison. And the prison is actually this whole island. If the prisoners are left with any free time, they're allowed to go skiing, horseback riding, fishing, or even tanning. The Alcatraz prison was a small island in San Francisco. It was built for the most dangerous criminals, and it's almost impossible to escape, because you would have to go through concrete walls, a rocky coastline, and swim through the freezing cold water. In Cebu prison in the Philippines, prisoners dance as part of their exercise program, and there's actually a viral video where they dance to Thriller by Michael Jackson. There's a prison in Austria that holds non-violent criminals who don't require maximum security. The prisoners even wear their own clothes, cook their own food, and live a fairly normal life. The cells are also spacious and comfortable and come with anything you need. There's also many amenities and accommodations that come with the prison. And in Italy, they have the Fortezza Medica prison. Here, the inmates are hired as workers for a fancy restaurant that's actually open to the public. Now, the question is, would you be willing to eat here?
If you're gonna be in Paris.
No. Some of those, bro, aren't even prisons, man. They sound like full-on freaking vacations, bro. Different parts of the world, man, those prisons. I wouldn't even classify those as a prisons. Would you guys? I definitely want to see your thoughts down below on some of those prisons.
This month, you might want to avoid this guy, especially if you're around 12 years old. In 2014, Steven van de Velde was a rising star in the Netherlands for beach volleyball. But like a judge put it, he also had a dark side. At some point, he starts messaging a 12-year-old girl on Facebook and continued to groom her via Snapchat and Skype. In August of that year, after 3 to 4 months of chatting, he traveled to England to meet her. Keep in mind, Steven is 19 years old at this time, and he knew this girl was 12. When the girl's mother was out of the house, Steven supplied her with alcohol before R-wording her several times, and he did this again at a lake nearby. The next day, he flies back home, probably assuming he's going to get away with it. But in January 2016, he was extradited back to the UK and arrested. 2 months later, he pleads guilty to 3 counts of R-wording a minor. The victim ended up making a statement in court about how this traumatic experience affected her, saying that she had at times harmed herself and even survived an OD. A UK judge sentenced him to 4 years in prison and basically said his dreams of performing at the Olympics were crushed. But unfortunately, he was wrong. His conviction was substituted for Dutch law, which was basically way less, and he only served 1 year in prison.
In his first interview talking about the crime in 2018, he said that he was a lost teenager still figuring things out. Apparently, Steven has shown no remorse, and the people around him don't seem to care at all. He's currently married with a young child and bound for the 2024 Olympics.
How? Man, I'm telling you guys, bro, like I said, watching these videos with you, man, the justice system, bro, it's an ever ongoing battle, bro, to get it to equal footing. All these cases we hear around the world.
These are human body parts that may disappear in the future. First up is body hair. Originally, it protected ancient humans from harsh weather conditions. However, over time, with modern clothes and changes in environmental conditions, human body hair has significantly decreased and continues to do so. Many scientists believe it might eventually completely disappear. Next are wisdom teeth. They used to serve an evolutionary purpose for ancient humans who had much rougher diets and needed more chewing power. But our diets have softened and our jaws have become increasingly smaller. As a result, they have no space to properly grow in, and many people need to have them surgically removed. Many babies are now being born without wisdom teeth, and scientists believe this will eventually be the standard. Finally, we have male nipples. Everyone starts as female in the womb, and before the Y chromosome kicks in for males, nipples have already formed. When the baby becomes male, the prolactin levels decrease, making the male nipples non-functional. So while it's debated, some scientists think they'll disappear.
This is proof that you have a higher chance of surviving if you sit at the back of a plane. But first, let's talk about the fact that there's been about 4 plane crashes or major malfunctions in the past week. The plane going to South Korea, 179 people passed away and only 2 survived. The plane crash in Kazakhstan, 38 people passed away and 29 survived. But what's common in both of these incidents is that the people that survived were sitting at the back of the plane. The 2 flight attendants on the flight to South Korea were sitting right here and they survived. Obviously, in this particular scenario, it was a very severe plane crash. Everyone passed away, unfortunately, but it goes to show that sitting at the back, you have a possibility of surviving. And the same thing happened with the plane crash in Kazakhstan. The tail of the plane had less damage, therefore more people survived. After seeing all this proof, I'm only riding at the back of the plane moving forward. I don't care if it takes me longer to get in and out. I'm just gonna be in the back.
This pool should
clock it. Bro, fun fact, I've never flown on a plane before, Seekers. Maybe like I said, one day in the future, I know I'm gonna have to, but getting this info, man, watching these videos with you guys, bring me the back seat. That's all I want, man. I don't even want to sit in the front of the have my own freaking, first class, bro. I'm fine with the back, bro. Give me that back seat. I'll gladly accept it. Hey, bro. We learning.
Should not exist. In Brisbane, Australia, there's something called the Cage of Death in Crocosaurus Cove. You'll be trapped in a plastic cage that is then lowered by a small crane into crocodile-infested waters. Most people assume this is probably safe, but in 2015, this was caught on camera. When these 2 friends were lowered into the water, the cables that were holding them up actually broke off, which startled the crocodile, which then tried to attack them. After this footage went viral, the park was forced to shut down and has not been open ever since.
Hardest languages to learn. Albanian. 5.1 years. Finnish. 5.3 years. Hungarian. 5.4 years.
It's like half of the damn life.
Vietnamese. 5.5 years. Korean. 5.8 years. Japanese. 6 years. Arabic. 6.2 years. Filipino. 6.7 years.
Mandarin.
7 years.
If anybody, man, that goes to show you how dedicated a person is, man, if they know other languages, but it's hard enough learning English for speaking kids, now taking on a whole nother language.
This is the world's most expensive underwater hotel room. And to get there, you need to go down your own private elevator. Right when you step out, you're greeted by your new neighbors, the fish. And then this hallway leads to the incredible bedroom. All of the walls, even the ceilings, are made of glass. You're surrounded by marine life. Imagine waking up to sharks just swimming over your head. You have an area here to relax, but that's not even the best part. Look at this bathroom. These toilet views are insane. The toilet and shower underwater doesn't make any sense to me at all, but this has to be the coolest place in the world to use the bathroom. This is the Maraca at the Conrad Maldives. This is crazy.
Crazy history
would you
facts
stay
that
there?
school did not teach you. In the 16th century, it was common to wear live mice as accessories. A cow named Pauline was the first cow to fly in an airplane in 1930. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, was Greek and not Egyptian. The word sabotage comes from French workers throwing their wooden shoes called sabots into machinery to disrupt production. Ancient Egyptians practiced a form of birth control that involved the use of crocodile dung. Sir Isaac Newton once stuck a needle in his eye to test his theory of color. The first words ever said on the telephone were by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876, and they were, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." More.
These are the craziest things discovered underground. In 2018, a farmer named James was digging in his backyard to install a drainage pipe, and that's when he found a skull of a woolly mammoth, which was 14,000 years old. Archaeologists say that humans hunted it and then buried it right there in the ground. And in 2015 in Argentina, Jose Antonio wanted to take a breath of fresh air right by this water, and that's when he found a large round object. This was a shell of an armadillo that was 10,000 years old. According to the shell, armadillos at the time would grow to about 11 feet. After this discovery, many other armadillo shells would appear randomly around Argentina. These are the deadliest animals.
Could you imagine an armadillo that size, bro? What was going on, man, back in the day? You gotta think about the evolutionary chain. Imagine freaking that big armadillo walking around, you seeing that. Good BB.
In your state. If you're in California, rattlesnakes are not your friend. And in Florida, it's mosquitoes, so you better have bug spray. And if you're in Wisconsin, you better fear the deer, because they're most likely to send you to heaven. And Texas is flood rafting fire ants. You do not want to mess with these things. In Rhode Island, the most deadly animal is the black widow. Alabama and Arizona, you better watch out for dogs. And Hawaii is tiger sharks, so if you go in the ocean, watch out.
So this is real.
Be careful.
Benjamin Netanyahu, yesterday, as of the 29th of December 2024, was diagnosed with grade 3 prostate cancer. And today, as of the 30th of December 2024, he got his prostates removed. So Benjamin Netanyahu officially does not have balls. Like, literally. What a great way to start New Year's Eve. Allah's real. Assalamu alaikum.
That's insane, bro.
These actors do the exact same thing in every movie.
Talk
Tom Cruise
about it.
always demands that he shows off his speed. He makes sure to run in all of his movies, because according to him, he can run 18 miles per hour. And nobody really knows why, but Leonardo DiCaprio loves to raise a glass and cheers. He does this in every one of his movies. And you've totally seen the meme of The Rock lifting one eyebrow. But did you know this is literally his signature move in every single movie? Which is actually crazy, because only about 20% of people can lift one eyebrow.
Who killed JonBenet Ramsey? One of the world's biggest cold cases in history is being re-examined in Netflix's Solve JonBenet's death. But 28 years later, no arrests have ever been made, and the killer has yet to be found.
911, what's the location of your emergency? What's the address? What city are you in?
Venice. Closest road is in Venice.
Is there a name to the neighborhood?
Kyle.
What's the phone number that you're calling from?
I'll give you my cell.
Tell me exactly what happened.
She hung herself in the garage. No.
Stay on the line. Are you with her now?
Well, I'm in the garage.
How old
my God. No, God, you can't go in there.
Okay, tell me why she looks like she's dead.
No, I'm a retired deputy fire chief. I know she is.
Do you think she's beyond any help?
Beyond, yes, rigmarole. I'm sure she's really good.
I'm sending I'm sending someone to assist you. Please leave everything as you found it. Is there anything we can do for you?
Okay, just please get somebody here.
They're on their way.
I'm gonna bring my son to my neighbors there, call my neighbor.
Okay. Can you tell me the address there one more time?
Word that out.
Okay, they're on their way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
This video, an 8-year-old girl bravely fought off a terrifying intruder who entered her home in the middle of the night wearing a clown mask. On the 15th of October, a scene unfolded in a small town like that from a horror film. At around 1:30 a.m., a man broke into a child's bedroom in Colorado. Police described the incident as an attempted child abduction, with the man entering the room in a dark hoodie and a cloth clown mask. Terrifyingly, the little girl was blindfolded and snatched off her bed as the man tried to take her from her bedroom. She was subject to quite a brutal attack by the intruder and bravely fought him off until he hit her over the head and knocked her out. Fortunately, it seems that he was spooked in the process of this and fled the scene. Now, it apparently took police over an hour to get to the incident at the property, but they did manage to gather vital evidence and then track the intruder down. They revealed his identity as 56-year-old Thomas Gallegos. They were able to arrest him and charge him with multiple serious offences such as burglary, assault, kidnapping and child abuse. The little girl did sustain cuts and bruises and was obviously traumatised by the attack, but fortunately did live to tell the tale.
This is how rare your
man.
body actually is. Starting off, only 5% of people have tied tongues, so if you have this, you're pretty rare. Basically, this is where your tongue is tied to the bottom of your mouth, impacting your speech and eating. Next up is Morton's toe, and if you have this, you're probably pretty rare. Only 10% of the population has this, and this is where your index toe is bigger than your big toe. Okay, this next one is crazy. 1% of people actually have unbreakable bones. This is a genetic mutation which causes people's bones to be more dense than the average human. And one person who had this condition actually walked away from a car crash unharmed. Next, about 50% of people can fit their hand in their mouth. Sounds a bit high, so if you actually can, let me know. If you can tickle yourself, you're in the rare 7% of the population that can do this. About 10% of people suffer from eczema, which is a skin rash and is so annoying. And finally, we have the 16% of people that can make a roaring noise in their head by clenching their jaw.
If any of your seekers, man, can you guys do any of those unique things, man? I think I have the tied tongue, but I can't fit my whole fist in my mouth. I know I can't do that. I don't even need to try to do that, bro. And the unbreakable bones. I saw actually somebody comment down, a fellow seeker said how like the unbreakable bone story was kind of not true. So, like I said, to each their own. Everybody got to do their own research, but that's crazy.
Crazy part is, most people believe that these 3 things will actually save your life. They don't. Let's pretend you're lost in the desert and you need water, and you don't have any. So where are some places you can get water? One commonly held terrible piece of advice is to drink your own pee, because it's mostly made up of water, except there's 5% of that that's all made up of just waste from your body, and even though the urine might keep you alive a little bit longer, you'll ultimately die of kidney failure. So you don't drink your own pee. Instead, you head over to some cactus you see nearby because you remember reading or hearing in school that you can drink the water inside of cactus. Except, unless it's one really specific kind of cactus, you'll be drinking lots of alkaloids and chemicals that will make you viciously ill, and you'll start vomiting and you'll have diarrhea and you'll die from dehydration much faster. So as you're sitting there wondering what you're going to do next, a venomous snake bites you. And so you instinctively start sucking on the bite to remove the poison, but you can't because it goes right in your bloodstream, and all you'll do is die much faster from infection.
Man, those 3 things, he just proved us wrong.
This picture from inside the basement of Fun Zone, and I'm going to get into some of the backstory about what it is that we're actually looking at here. But what I can tell you is that when I did see it, my heart sunk. For some backstory, if you don't know what Fun Zone is, this is kind of a relic of the late 90s, early 2000s. It had lots of iterations over the years, but it was effectively like an indoor amusement park or arcade. It used to be like a really fun place to be. It had a handful of carnival rides, indoor roller coasters, all the works. So Fun Zone eventually did close down and they boarded up the doors. I guess the problem was is that didn't stop people from breaking in. One of the curious things about this location was that they didn't sell off any of the equipment that was inside. It just kind of remained in place. Eventually, upon one of the break-ins where somebody went in, they made their way to the basement where they found an abandoned cell phone, and that is where we get this picture. Nobody really knows who took the photo or what really happened to them, but if you look a bit closer to the background, you will see the same thing that I do. You can see it if I make the photo brighter. Whoever was exploring Fun Zone, they came face to face with a person in that basement. Don't forget, if scary stories like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check them out right on the podcast.
We're always told to drink a lot of water throughout the day, but have you ever wondered what happens when you drink too much water? Well, 35-year-old Ashley Summers drank 64 ounces of water in a span of 20 minutes and passed away from water toxicity. Ashley, her husband, and 2 daughters were at Lake Freeman in Indiana when she began feeling dehydrated. So she drank 4 bottles of water because for some reason she wasn't able to quench her thirst. Ashley complained about having a horrible headache and she began to feel lightheaded. When she got home with her family, she passed out in the garage and she was taken to the hospital where the doctor said she had brain swelling. Ashley never woke up and she was pronounced dead from water toxicity. A toxicologist said that this is more likely to happen to someone who's extremely dehydrated, which will cause them to drink too much water and not enough sodium or electrolytes. So remember, bring more than just water on really hot days, especially if you're under the sun for a long period of time.
Here's why you might not want to visit your mom on her birthday. A man was stuck in traffic while driving home after visiting his mother for her birthday. The man was so frustrated that when the GPS told him to take a detour, he went right away, which might have been a mistake. His gas light then came on, so he decided to pull into this super bar in town to fill up his tank. So the man went in, pumped his gas, and when he went to pay, the clerk was super weird. He didn't acknowledge him and just gave him a creepy smile. The man then went outside and saw a woman just standing in the middle of the road and said, "Are you okay?" And the woman looked at him and said, "Ah, yes, we are happy here." The man was like, "What the?" and just drove out of there. Till a cop pulled him over and said, "Sir, you can't drive. Driving's illegal here." The man had had enough and literally just went pedal to the metal and zoomed out of there. When he got home, he was just so confused. The people looked real but didn't act human. He tried to research it but decided, next year I'm just sending my mom a card.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious out of there, bro. I did the same thing too. People are acting weird, very weird.
Weird Nature Facts, Part 37. In proportion to body weight, koalas have one of the smallest brains of any mammal. They're so dumb that when presented with leaves on a flat surface instead of on branches, they are unable to recognize them as food and will not eat them. Dogs get sprayed by skunks so often because skunks raise their tails as a warning. Dogs see this as "come smell my butt," which is the exact opposite message of what the skunk is trying to send. In Germany, it is illegal to kill any vertebrate animal without proper reason. Because of this, all German animal shelters are no-kill. In the 1980s, Ken the orangutan escaped from his enclosure at the San Diego Zoo multiple times. His apparent goals were visiting other animals, taking photos with tourists, and throwing rocks at his orangutan rival.
Wow,
Here are some disturbing facts about Disney. Many scenes in Toy Story are inspired by the horror movie The Shining. The voice actor that did Lilo in Lilo and Stitch also played the ghost girl in The Ring. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland feature real human skeletons. Also at Disneyland, there are vents that pump out artificial smells to keep you happy. After the release of Princess and the Frog, over 50 kids went to hospital for salmonella. They tried to kiss a frog. Do you know any other creepy things about Disney? Leave a comment.
Here's some.
I think the thing that got to me the most is that he pumping out like a smoke out of a vent to keep you happy at Disney. What the heck? What they got going on with Disney, bro? And the more you know, I heard some creepy facts about Disney, but that's definitely a new one I heard today, Seekers.
The creepiest videos on the internet, Part 10. The popular American rapper XXXTentacion was murdered on June 18th, 2018, and his death broke the hearts of many.
R.I.P.
Many people visited his memorial to leave gifts, but some people captured much more. The YouTube channel, The Fam, recorded a video trying to communicate with this beloved rapper. they accidentally captured this. But someone else got a lot more than this. The YouTube channel Selva the Explorer got to speak with him through her spirit box. Here's some things he had to say.
What is your favorite song you've ever recorded? What's the name of your favorite song? Are you in the Wi-Fi? Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Is this legit? They were speaking to his ghost?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the most disturbing, but this is definitely top 5. This is Malgas Island, and up to 60,000 of these birds called Cape Gannets will nest here. But don't worry, I'm gonna get to it. So normally these parents take turns, with one going out for food with the other staying behind to guard the chick. But because of overfishing, oftentimes both parents will go out for food, leaving the chick all alone on the island. Which wouldn't be a problem if they didn't know that. Because groups of these white pelicans will fly over to the islands and then walk around looking for any unsupervised gannet chicks, so that they can grab the baby birds and eat them alive while they're still struggling. And sometimes they'll just push the parents out the way and then swallow the newborn children right in front of them. It somehow gets worse. Those same pelicans will fly back to their nest and vomit the half-digested, recently murdered baby birds for the pelican chicks to eat. And because Cape Gannets have no real way to defend themselves, pelicans have no reason to stop. And since pelicans obviously don't have teeth, those chicks' last moments were spent suffocating while being digested alive by stomach acid, only to get regurgitated and eaten twice. Dinosaurs never went extinct. They just rebranded with feathers.
Black Air Force energy. Confirmed. They some menaces, bro.
This is proof that we aren't alone. Okay, so in Wyoming, there's a strange mountain in the middle of nowhere with ridges on it, and no one seems to know why. Now, most people say that this is because of erosion. However, there's a theory behind this mountain that will absolutely shock you.
Talk about it.
And as the theory says, the real reason as to why this mountain has ridges is not because of erosion, but because of a giant bear. The said bear is said to be named Mato and is about 60 feet tall, weighing over 10 tons. And this story even goes as far back as the Stone Age, with drawings of a gigantic bear attacking tribes on wall caves. However, this creature has not been seen since.
So this video went viral sometime last year when this woman and her kids, along with her friend and her friend's kids, went out to eat after a doctor's appointment. While they sat at this restaurant, this random man came out of nowhere and tried to grab one of their daughters and pull her out of the restaurant. The two mothers had a total of 6 kids with them, and they were all seated on this table, but in front of them were 2 other young kids who happened to be Snapchatting while this whole thing went down, and they caught this crazy moment. When the mother realized that this man had grabbed her daughter, she stood up right away and said, "Oh hell no." And then he said, "I'm just playing," and he let go of the little girl. There is no way this man is just playing around. He intended to take that little girl, and he probably thought it was going to be easy because there's just 2 moms with 6 kids at this table.
Humanoid robots.
Yeah, nah, he was definitely on some weird crap, bro. Gonna say, try to play it off as a joke, man. These people are getting bold now, bro. Like, right in front of the parents, they just don't care no more. They the right thing standing. Nah, we had to run that feed, bro. No. Somebody had to drag me off that guy, man. And like, in front of the parents? How stupid could you be?
Are getting creepier by the day. A startup from Poland called Clone Robotics is on a mission to create some of the most human-like robots ever, even going as far as to use a musculoskeletal body using hydraulic tendon muscles covered in this stretchy skin-like fabric. And it's not just for show, because they claim that it is the strongest biomimetic hand in the world. Oh, and just like in the movies, their artificial muscles bleed if punctured. So yeah, things are getting serious now.
Terminator next step.
Part 4. Today, let's talk about the mysterious disappearance of Rebecca Corum. Rebecca Corum was a 24-year-old worker on the Disney Wonder cruise ship. On March 22, 2011, while working on the cruise ship, Rebecca disappeared without a trace. This is one of the last photos taken of her, and it was from CCTV footage. At 5:45 a.m. that morning, footage revealed Rebecca talking on the phone with someone. She seemed visibly distressed. Now here's where it gets twisted. Many people believe that Disney knows exactly what happened to Rebecca, but are trying to cover up this whole thing. Let me explain. For starters, the captain of the ship said that Rebecca was just washed over by a big wave. They then gave Rebecca's parents a sandal and said that this was hers and it was retrieved from the deck that she was last seen on. Number one, the sandal wasn't her size. Number two, it wasn't her style. It was also revealed that Disney had edited the CCTV footage. Check out part 2 on this case for more information.
They're just trying to save some money, man. That's not the first time a big company would do something like that. It's sad.
Did you know that they may have just exposed Satan's city? What's even more crazy is there's people living there right now and it's not hell. Whilst addressing a church in Revelation chapter 2 verse 13, Jesus exposes the city of Satan. Watch this. Jesus says, I know where you live, a place where Satan sits enthroned. And he says that same place is where his faithful witness Antipas died. Saint Antipas was martyred by being burnt in a bronze bull in Geneva, Switzerland. Like, this literally happened under the rule and reign of Nero. And you're never gonna guess what's happening in Geneva, Switzerland right now. It's home to an organization called CERN, whose, logo just happens to be 666. And their goal in life is to develop a machine that can actually tear a hole between the natural and supernatural realm. And they just made a discovery of something called the God particle, but that's a video for another time. Subscribe now if you love Jesus.
What do we think about CERN, man? That's their headquarters.
This is the disturbing truth about Christmas. This is Black Peter, and he spends the whole year spying on kids, taking note on who has been good and who has been bad. Every single Christmas, Black Peter goes with Santa from house to house, and while Santa gives presents to the good kids, Black Peter punishes the bad ones, and this is what he does to them. First, he will leave you a bag of twigs and a pile of coal. But if you have been really bad, Black Peter will snatch you from your bed and throw you into a sack. He will then kidnap you and take you to his coal mine, where he will chain you up and make you his slave. You will then work for him for the rest of your life, and if Black Peter ever gets sick of you, he will just simply eat you. So if this doesn't motivate you to make the nice list, then I don't know what will.
Stay away from Black Peter, bro.
Of the silent man. In 2014, a 51-year-old man in the UK named David Hampson decided to stand in the middle of a busy road and block the traffic. The incident was then reported and police officers arrived at the scene to see what was going on. But when they tried to talk to David to get him to move, he wouldn't say a word and just stood there, so they arrested him. From his arrest to when he was brought to court, David still remained completely silent and wouldn't even talk to his lawyer. Although since no one knew his motives and he hadn't actually hurt anyone, David was let go soon afterwards. But all he did was just go back to that same street and stand there, silent, once again. And he committed this same crime over and over again for the next 7 years, never saying a word to anyone. Even though he was jailed multiple times, every time he was released, he would just go back to that same street and do the exact same thing. All the doctors who had tried to help David failed because he refused to speak to them. And it was reported that the only time anyone had ever heard him speak was when he was giving food and water, and he said thanks. Finally, in 2020, David was given 3.5 years in prison for his actions, and is still yet to speak to anyone on why he did it. Fourth one.
If you believe in God, stay away from Halloween. Muslims, Christians, or anyone who believes in God, Halloween is a pagan festival. It involves evil spirits, jinns, and shaitan. It is forbidden for Muslims and real Christians to know the truth. Please do not associate with it and stay away. Share this everywhere and spread awareness.
Alright guys, let's talk about Krampus. Krampus comes from old German folklore. He's the opposite of Santa Claus and he punishes misbehaving children on Christmas. You might be asking, what does he do to punish these misbehaving children? He stuffs them in his bag and takes them back to his lair. He either eats them or tortures them. He also has a whole gang of minions that help him do this. Krampus is celebrated around many parts of Europe and there have been a lot of petitions to ban him. This is because people are scared of the legend and they don't want to keep doing it. But every single year during Christmas time, there are always reports of Krampus sightings all over the place. Let me know what you guys think about Krampus in the comment section below.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 3. The first firefighter killed in 9/11 attacks was struck dead by a falling body in the courtyard. One of them was killed on his way in, and the other was killed on his way out. Right now, there are tiny little bugs on your face munching on your dead skin. Your bones are wet. If you don't have kids, you will break an unbroken line of children that has gone on for tens of millions of years. A scientist studying death asked a man who was about to be executed by a guillotine if he would blink after his head was chopped off. He ended up blinking for 30 seconds. Most laugh tracks for TV shows were recorded in the early 1950s, meaning that you hear dead people laugh. If you're attacked by a bear, it won't try to kill you like other predators. Instead, it'll just start eating you. One day, someone will mention you for the last time, then they'll never ever mention you again.
Crazy to think about, man.
Here are the creepiest Christmas urban legends, part 1. Ever heard of the Yule Cat? This is an extremely creepy cat that's said to originate from Iceland. According to stories, the Yule Cat enjoys snacking on people during the holiday season. And what makes the Yule Cat even weirder is that it specifically targets people who haven't received any new clothing before Christmas Eve. Iceland is also home to Gryla. According to Iceland lore, Gryla is a giant ogress who leaves her cave in the mountains to feed on children during Christmas. To make the story even creepier, Gryla keeps the Yule Cat as a pet. What the hell is going on in Iceland? Then we have Belschnickel, and this one comes from Germany. According to people of the Rhine, Belschnickel is an old bearded man who visits children during the holidays with Santa Claus. If you were good that year, he'd give you cakes and candy. If you were bad, well, Belschnickel would pull out a switch and whip the children until they behaved. This is probably why Dwight from The Office loved him so much. There's also Krampus. This is one you've probably heard about from movies and books. In the Alpines, Krampus is a horned demonic figure who visits the homes of naughty children on December 5th and punishes them. In some versions of the story, he hits them with birch rods. In others, he straight up takes them back down to hell with him. The Germans definitely know how to scar kids for life.
Scary things hidden in Disney movies. In Mona, Olaf from Frozen appears in Mona's basket. Wally, Rex from Toy Story All Alone among the junk.
Whoa,
Here's
I never
the
noticed
truth
that.
behind Dora the Explorer. You may think it's just some ordinary cartoon, but there's actually a big secret behind it. Dora the Explorer is actually blind, and here's proof. If you watch the show, you'll notice Dora never actually looks at what she's talking about. She always looks in another direction and doesn't even blink. This also explains why her parents make her take Boots everywhere, because Boots is actually a Secret Service animal. Even in this scene right here, Boots is counting the coins and she's not looking anywhere near that. And this explains why she always asks obvious questions to the audience.
The 16-year-old.
Whoa, what the heck? Hey, that's a new theory, man, that she just put in my head. Was Dora the Explorer always blind? What do you guys think, man? It was lining up perfectly.
Girl threw her newborn out of her window. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. On September 30th of 2016, a 16-year-old Antonia Lopez had gave birth to a baby girl. Right after giving birth, she took a photo of the baby and sent that photo to her baby's father on Snapchat. Antonia had captioned the photo saying it was a girl, by the way. Right after that is when she made the decision to throw the baby out of her second-story window. Shortly after that, she then decides to post on her Facebook around 3:40 a.m. to see if someone can help her out. Someone ends up replying to her Facebook post, and she is asking help to get rid of a deceased baby, needs some trash bags, and a car. Antonia ends up telling her mom what happened, and her mom immediately calls 911 and rushes down to that baby to perform CPR. Antonia was taken into custody, and she could face up to 20 years in prison if she was charged as an adult. The judge ends up charging Antonia as a juvenile so she can avoid prison time. Instead, she was sentenced to live in a group home, complete 50 hours of community service, attend therapy sessions, and delete her Facebook account. The only reason they made her delete her Facebook account was because of the angry comments she was receiving.
Here's what famous cartoon characters would look like in real life, and the last one will freak you out. This is what Homer Simpson would look like as a real person. And this is a 3D rendering of Mario. Buzz Lightyear doesn't actually look too different in real life. And Bart Simpson seems to have a missing chin when he turns real. Stewie Griffin from Family Guy doesn't look too different. But SpongeBob SquarePants might freak you out.
Yeah, he did. SpongeBob can't be real. that face.
Maps that will change the way you see the world. These cities are all still owed money from the Trump campaign.
There are
Ooh.
now over 50 countries generating over 50% of their electricity from renewable energy. This shows the employment rates for 15 to 29-year-olds in Europe. The darkest blue areas are over 80% and the darkest red areas are under 30%. This is how much it costs to hold a prisoner in each state in the United States. In Arkansas, it only costs $23,000, but in Maine, it costs over $300,000. 33% of the entire country of Switzerland live within 5 kilometers of the main train line that goes through the country. This map shows how population is dispersed through France with the same amount of people living in the green as in the red. This map shows how many people by percentage in each country in Europe actually speak French. This map is highlighting every city that was founded by the French in the United States.
Wow, the more you know. That first map is crazy, bro.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you, part 8. Okay, so the Teletubbies is a dark nightmare about genetically engineered slave creatures being systematically trained to become part of our society. The Teletubbies aren't in control of their own destiny, and 3 things control their day-to-day life. First is the voice, which is a tiny female voice that tells them when they could eat, sleep, say hello, or even say goodbye. The robotic voice comes from a speaker in the ground, hinting that something larger lies beneath. Next up is Nunu. He's a harmless vacuum cleaning robot who follows the Teletubbies and cleans up all the messes that they make, and also yelling at them for bad decisions. Nunu is just the watchdog of the Teletubbies. Finally is the pinwheel. Whenever the pinwheel starts to spin, the Teletubbies stop everything they're doing and run to the top of the hill to perform a ritual. People believe the Teletubbies is based on the end of the world.
Wow, we've heard some crazy theory about the Teletubbies, but that's definitely a new one.
Saudi Arabia has just said that the groundwork for what would become the largest structure on Earth is now 86% complete. Now, not only would it be large enough to fit 20 Empire State Buildings inside, but similar to the Las Vegas Sphere, in its center will be this spiral-shaped tower encased by a VR dome that essentially could create anything your mind could imagine, whether that be on Mars, under the ocean, balcony views of Pandora, and even whatever the hell these things are. So the question is, do you think they'll be able to complete this by 2030 or not?
This evil grandmother
think
baked
so.
her 20-month-old granddaughter in the oven. Viewer's discretion is strongly advised. 48-year-old Carolyn Jones lived with her brother and 20-month-old granddaughter Royalty in Shaw, Mississippi. She was described as a caring woman who loved her granddaughter. On October 15th of 2018, Carolyn's brother had found Royalty in a still warm oven when he had returned home from work. She had been burned so badly that she was unrecognizable. The police determined that Royalty had been stabbed multiple times and was still alive when she was placed in the oven. Royalty's cause of death was stab wounds and inhaling all that heated air. Carolyn was taken into custody on a charge of first-degree murder. The motive behind why she did this is still unclear to this day. A week before the incident, Royalty's toys and belongings had been left on the curb for trash. Royalty's car seat, high chair, ride-on horse, and diapers were among the items taken by people that were passing down their street. Neighbors were shocked to hear about what happened, and they stated that they rarely saw Carolyn or anyone else at that house, and they had no idea that a small child was even living there. In 2022, Carolyn was sentenced to life in prison for capital murder.
An 11-year-old boy came across this girl buried underneath the sand, and this is what happened. A young boy named Connor Fitzgerald was building sandcastles with a couple of his friends at the Marina Dunes beach in California. The boys soon moved to digging holes in the sand and challenged each other to see who could dig the deepest. As Connor was digging his hole, he suddenly hit something with his right hand. He dug deeper and realized that it was a bag. He dug around the bag, grabbed it, pulled it out, and was shocked when he realized that the bag was still attached to its owner. Connor then dug back more sand to find a little girl buried underneath. He called out for help, but there were no adults around, so he single-handedly pulled her out of the sand. The little girl was completely limp and wasn't breathing. Connor then thought back to an episode of NCIS where he saw a character perform CPR. As he started the procedure, a young couple walking down the beach started sprinting toward them.
Damn, I gotta find that part too, bro. Imagine you found somebody buried alive. That little boy is a hero, bro. Man. seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Make sure you guys follow me on my social medias. Hit that thumbs up button. Comment down below. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.